Fuck it, I straight up gang. I straight up gang. I straight up gang. I straight up gang. Fuck it.
With the way the news cycle go in Jamaica, some of the most atrocious forms of injustice can happen, and then it's like a fart in the wind a couple weeks later, or years later. Things that would be a national shame that would be talked about for generations in other countries. So these incidents usually have names like the Holocaust, Trail of Tears, or the Crushing. These are incidents that countries and people come together as a people and say, okay, that's wrong, and let's take steps to make sure that never happen again. Jamaica is a place that once it's not in the news again, it no matter. Now, the Jamaican government is not known for them stellar human rights record, and the incident I'm going to cover was one of great shame for Jamaicans, both local and international, as the government targeted the lowest people in society and victimized them, and nothing never come of it. On the night of July 15, 1999, the St. James Municipal Council committed one of the most wicked acts that even the Jamaican government was forced to take responsibility for their actions. For those that don't know or are too young to know the story, on July 15, 1999, the St. James Municipal Council, along with the police, scooped up 32 homeless people off the streets of Montego Bay. In the process of scooping them up, them tie up them hands and pepper spray them and throw them in the back of a truck. What they told the homeless people is that they were carrying them to the hospital to get treatment or to put them in homes, etc. Instead, them take them on a 45-mile, 2-hour journey to Santa Cruz, where them let out the people in the dark in front of a backside mud lake. Now, according to one of the homeless people,
When we reached the place, St. Elizabeth, it was almost daylight, but it was still dark. Then back up the truck about 20 feet from a spot, cut the rope and let we out and say the first man who run down the hill will get the best room. I raised my hand and said, don't move, make we wait until daylight. When day break, we realized we were almost at the edge of a mud lake.
say the plan was to make the people them run off the cliff to them death and sink into the toxic pit below. Now this pit is a backside pit with waste products of backside production along with chemicals used in the process like caustic soda. These pits can be as deep as 20 to 30 foot deep, filled with toxic mud. So a person jumping down into this from a height would instantly be trapped in the weight of the sludge, and the more you struggle, the faster you get pulled down to the bottom. Like, I don't know everybody's stance on a creator or God, but may I tell you, God was on these people's side, because coincidentally, one of the homeless was a US Army veteran who fought in the Vietnam War. He thought things were a little fishy, so him tell them to wait until the daylight before following the instructions of the people who clearly never have them best interests at heart. The same people who tie them up and pepper spray them. Now you say you are rehome me. You carry me go to a hospital for treatment. Yet you come a batter bruise me, burn up me eye them, tie me up with rope like say me a hog, and then come and tell me say them have nice bedroom await for me. The audacity of the Jamaican government. And of course, some of these people were mentally ill, are desperate for shelter, and not thinking clearly. So, I say with them, it wasn't until the next day when the sun rise that they realized that if they had listened to the instructions, they would have stepped off in the backside lake. Nearby residents found a group of homeless people and reported the incident to the police. Usually when them little things happen in a Jamaica, it's usually a 5-day story and everybody move on with them life. But this one took Jamaica by storm and found its way into international news. Over the years, the Jamaican government has done some pretty heinous stuff, like with the Coral Gardens massacre and the Bakawal incident, which I will address in another video. Because of the big stink that this incident created, Jamaicans for the first time did start demand answers from the government. Now, the government was never used to being held responsible for any of the past atrocities with them commit. So from the beginning, then Prime Minister P.J. Patterson and the ruling PNP at the time refused to accept any responsibility or answer any questions about the incident. The Prime Minister was openly denying requests for a commission of inquiry, telling people that absolutely nothing would come from it. And in a sense, he was right. But it wasn't because there was nothing to find. It was because very powerful people within the government and the private sector of Montego Bay were colluding to cover up the truth of what happened to the street people of Montego Bay. You see, the government took Jamaican people for big head bud. They wanted us to believe that 3 rogue low-level employees from unrelated sectors take it upon themselves for round up and dash a 30 odd people when it wasn't directly affecting them. In Jamaica, we know that tourism is a golden goose. If you hurt a hair upon poor little toddler Billy's head, there would be hell to pay. So people don't really mess with tourists here. What this was, which was most likely the case, is that the tourism sector in Montego Bay run a program to get the homeless people off of the streets of Montego Bay because it wasn't a good look for their tourist traps that they always portray to the international media. Homeless people weren't a part of the Paradise package, and it shouldn't be a problem if you get rid of them, right? Cause who would care if a few homeless people just disappear off of the streets? Less people to beg you a thing as you go about your daily business, but them never get the reaction them did I expect. Fact, they received huge backlash from the Jamaican public. After the backlash from both international and local agencies, the government was finally embarrassed enough to backtrack and set up a commission of inquiry. It went as how everybody did expect. Nothing never come out of it, and all them do I lay blame upon the 3 low-level stooges where them choose to be the fall guys for the operation. The positive that did come out of it was that an organization was set up to take care of the victims. They were given $20,000 a month for the rest of their lives. Now I can already hear somehow now ball out say 20 grand on money, but at the time the Jamaican dollar did still worth something. So it was good while it lasted. No high-level government officials or business people were held accountable for what was done to the street people, even though Tom, Dick and Harry no say they were the architects of this entire operation. Further investigations to find out if this was the first time something like this has ever happened. In fact, 6 of the homeless people were never found, and it is assumed that they fell into the lake and died. Nobody searched for them body, even though it would have probably been fruitless, because with all of the chemicals in the lake, them would have done dissolve already or get stuck deep under the mud. The whole commission of inquiry served as a farce and only existed to convince the rest of society that the Montego Bay bigwigs and government officials never have nothing to do with it. At the time, everybody was looking at them with suspicion. Joseph Frostmeyer, a hotelier and president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, said,
Talking as a human being and as a Montegonian, I'm sick and tired of people pointing the finger at us. It would be a good start as long as it's done properly and establishes what happened. I think we would all be relieved if there was something that moved this thing into another level.
Tour operator and chairman of the Montego Bay Cruise Ship Council, Lee Bailey, agreed.
A dark cloud hangs over the situation. As long as we don't know what happened, everybody will be a suspect, and I don't want to spend my life as a suspect.
So you see, the business community was more concerned about looking like the villains that I think personally they are, because the presence of the homeless people directly affected their business. So yeah, this is a story of how the Jamaican government was kind of held responsible, but not directly for the wrongs committed against Jamaican citizens.